Welcome to the TechFace podcast. We at TechFace are all about connecting female tech communities with companies to support their members finding a meaningful career in tech. In this podcast, we interview women who have a career in tech to inspire your own journey. Let's listen to our next guest on this episode. Today we welcome here to our podcast Olga. She is one of the software engineers we met quite a while ago actually. We met at one of the Girls in Tech event, which was more than a year ago, was October 17 if I remember correctly. I'm very happy to have you this time. Let's start with introducing yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. So my name is Olga Skurativska. I'm a software engineer. I am originally from Ukraine, from Kiev. Moved to Switzerland around 7-8 years ago. I currently work at Homegate. I'm building different services that should help people make educated decisions around real estate. We are re-engineering everything on the serverless technology, building cloud native products, so it's pretty exciting right now. I'm usually interested in all the aspects of programming, including user research or software architecture and testing. So I'm a curious software engineer.
So how long have you been actually in the tech industry already? So you just talked about your current job and already a lot of tech topics, but how long have you altogether been in the tech industry?
So let's see, I started in 2005, I guess that's 14 years.
Yes,
yes,
long time already.
Yeah, it was a funny time. My first job was to make a website for a local community of online gamers. The guys had an office in someone's apartment, but it was my first project. I was very excited. It was my first paycheck. And so I did basically everything for that website, including the visual design and Flash animations, which was a hot topic back then. Everybody was learning Flash and thought that that's going to be the future of the tech, which is funny to look back at now. Since then I've done lots of different things. I tried to try different hats. So I worked for product companies, I worked for consultancies, I worked for a startup. Yeah.
Good mix there for already.
Yes, I tried working with outsourcing model. I like to say that I tried the both sides of it because I was in here and in there, and tried freelancing, tried working in the team, languages, technologies, frameworks, you name it. But I feel like with that experience, I still have a lot to try. It keeps evolving.
Absolutely. So what made you choose to go into the tech industry?
I think it kind of happened quite naturally. I have to say I've always been kind of a nerd. I loved math in school. But with mathematics, you normally have options of either going into research or teaching it, and that kind of never appealed to me because I also like to build things. And I remember that I also spent lots of time in front of my computer, mostly gaming with my younger brother. We spent all our evenings in front of it. And also both my parents were in tech. My mom was a software engineer. She was working in aviation on the autopilot software. And my dad was an electronical engineer. He was operating those huge IBM 360 machines that took the whole room. Okay. So I guess that's, runs in the family. So you can guess what came out of my brother as well.
He's into tech as well. I was intrigued by what you said before when you started that you had your first project with the Flash and everything. How was it for you? Did you have to teach yourself all the technologies, or did you have a lot of help?
I would say both. So my background is quite classic. I studied computer science, and I also worked while studying. So that project happened during my student years. So I had some theoretical background, but in our university we had very few practical hands-on things. I'm not sure. I think it's a common thing around universities that they give a lot of theoretical base, but there are certain things you need to try with your hands, like working in a team and how to troubleshoot and how to work with version control, and you have to make your own mistakes and actually figure it out. So I guess it was a mix of both.
That's good. It's absolutely true that you need to have this experience with hands-on. Were there a lot of students actually in your class that did do projects on the side next to study? Was it common
That
to
was
do that?
quite common in Ukraine for many different reasons, also because people wanted some money on the side while studying, but yeah, a lot of people did that. So we were quite lucky. There were companies who were hiring students and let us build this schedule around the classes, so we were able to do like lectures in the morning and some hours in the evening, like part-time work.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So what was your approach then to get the right part-time work, let's say it this way, like which fits to your studies? Was it easy to find something?
No,
Or?
I went to like tons of interviews. I was basically doing every test assignment that I was given. Even if people didn't invite me afterwards, I was just basically doing them and then improving on them and then putting them in a little folder. And then I had like some kind of portfolio of things that I was able to show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess going on the interviews also helped a lot in terms of deciding where to improve, right? Because I knew certain things, which was very few because I was very young. And then you go to the interview, you talk to people and you realize that you have a gap in here and here, and you get like an instant to-do list for self-improvement. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that was quite practical.
And it sounds like you need to have a lot of passion or love for this kind of work, like for the tech to be really then going into all these tests and do collection of your work and find these gaps and work on these gaps again. So what is it that made you love the tech industry?
I don't know. I just like making things. I like making things that have either never existed before or that would help someone do something better, faster, prettier. So I was curious about the design at some point of my life as well. So I did some designs. I just like seeing instant results. Yeah. And I don't know, till this day, the moment where you release something and there are people who are using it and they're giving you feedback, either good or not so good, it just feels like you achieved something. Yeah. This sense of achievement is great. And it's also learning, I guess, because I also, probably because I am a nerd, I have like a lot of joy when I understand something and when I am able to do something I couldn't do before. This is like a huge achievement to me. And with this profession, there is so much to learn, so much to try, and it's always creative and it never gets boring. So I think I had this feeling back then already when I was studying and doing my first steps in the career.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So where do you think is the future of tech? Where do you see from your position, from your occupation, the future of tech? Where do we go?
Where do we go? I don't know. I think that the tech is actually the future, right? So I see it a bit from the opposite side. So no matter where we go, it's going to be there. I mean, currently, I also am struggling to see a successful business that doesn't do technology on scale, right? That don't collect data, that don't analyze it. You have to do it nowadays to be competitive. And you have to innovate somehow, right? Otherwise, you're out of market. So I think tech is going to be it's going to become new literacy practically. So if you're not able to understand and apply technology, it's like not being able to read and write. So no matter which job or which industry you choose, you need to have such a certain degree of tech savviness nowadays. Yeah. If we're talking about predictions, I think the next hot topic could be the ethical aspect of technology, because we're moving and innovating quite fast, but right now we start seeing how this could impact society, how this could impact people with all the changes to the media, all the changes to politics. I think that there would be a demand for specialists that could actually sort this out, and they should be like part tech, part maybe social studies. So I would say that this is the next hot topic. Yeah, I absolutely agree to that. We need to make sure that everybody in the world has access to information, that this is correct information, and we don't use tech to manipulate public opinions or for any other evil goals.
Which is unfortunately already happening in some cases. Kind of scary. So you're right now working as a full stack developer. So for our listeners, if someone would be interested going into this position, like in this area, what would you recommend? So what is it what they need to bring to be able to be successful at this position, and the thing they will get out of it as being a full stack developer?
I'll start from the second part, because what they would get out of it, again, they would be able to build awesome things. And if you are a full stack developer, you can practically build or oversee the construction of software from one end to the other. If you can do your own DevOps, it's even better. How do you get there? Like in any other position you work, you go to interviews again. So if you like a position that you think might be something for you, I would say don't hesitate, just go and apply for it, because you normally never know what the companies are actually looking for. Sometimes they're just looking for hardworking people, and you just might get in and you would be able to learn a lot of things while working. If you don't get in, again, you'll get feedback on how you can improve, and this is gonna move you a little bit from the from the steady point.
That's absolutely true. If there is someone who had never been in touch with programming, software engineering, is there anything you would suggest to get a little bit of a feeling first?
There is always the classical way, so people could start with reading the classical books on algorithms and so on, but now we have the luxury of having all those nano degrees online, so you can go and start with the hands-on approach and add the theoretical part later, so you can, I would say, get this feeling of things being done quicker a little bit. And I would suggest to find some peers, talk to them. There are plenty of meetups in Switzerland where you can go and ask, like, so what are you guys working on, and what's good right now, what are you doing, what are the problems, and try to you know, maybe build things yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Test assignments, open source contributions, you name it. Like a website for your local bakery could be.
Exactly, yeah. This is what I do currently as well. Like working on my own website to brush up my programming skills, which I had a long time ago. Great. Any other recommendation you would tell someone to get into a career, to find a job, or was there anything you experienced, you said today, which was helpful for you when you were looking for a job? Besides what you just said, just go for it.
I think I always had this kind of go-getter attitude. I don't have anything to compare with, because I've always took the jobs in tech, apart from like really tiny summer jobs in school. But to be honest, I feel like it's like any other job, right? So you cannot just go and show up at someone's doorstep and says like, hey, I'm good, like hire me, right? So you need to work a little bit, and either you start with the studies or you start with doing it yourself, which is totally fine, because I see a lot of people who did not do computer science course and they are kind of, think that they don't know as much as the others. This is not true. I've also seen many talented people who come from different backgrounds. They were able to pick it up from zero, from scratch, on their own, just by using open resources, and they were amazing at their jobs. So absolutely. I stick to the go for it.
Great. And I think with the internet today, you find a solution for every problem. Absolutely. At least this is my experience. Thank you very much for this. So before closing this podcast, I would like to ask you some speed questions, and just want to have the answer on top of your mind. First of all, who is your favorite female role model?
I don't know. I don't really have a name that I could bring, but I really had an opportunity to work and to study with lots of women that were super inspiring. They were always ready to share their knowledge, ready to help others, and they were amazing at their jobs, and I just look up to every single one of them. So.
Okay, great, thanks. What is your most important skill?
Critical thinking, I guess. It helped me in many situations where I could just basically step back, ask the right questions from very bird eye perspective, and draw my own conclusions. This is important. Very important skill, because I think everything else you can learn. Like programming language you can learn, but critical thinking, it's very important. To practice that.
Yes. And the last one is, what was the best advice that was ever given to you?
That's an interesting one. From the top of my mind, I can remember something that I learned doing yoga. So yogis say that the first thing you should care about is not others, is yourself, which sounds really selfish on the first time. But the more I think about it, and the more I think about this in the context of social dynamics, the more I understand what they meant. Because if you are a wholesome, healthy, happy human, and you do not bring any problems with you to work or to whatever your environment is, this already helps others a lot, because it creates a nice positive atmosphere. And I think it's just a great approach to anything, like be it work or life or relationships. So yeah, just be a decent human, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think also don't care about what others say goes into that as well.
Yeah, probably. So just make sure you're okay, and then everything else is also going to be okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. It was great to have you on this podcast and share your experience with us and the listeners. And thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in today and listening to this inspiring talk on TechFace podcast. Want to be the first to know about the next episode or get first-hand access to our events? Join TechFace and sign up today on techface.ch. As a new member, you will get a free career coaching call and will always be the first to know about exciting events, news and insights. We look forward to welcoming you as our valued member.